So thank you for that. That actually answers my next question, which is all about Amazon. Wait, no, that's great. Amazon is my passion. I could talk about Amazon for hours, but let's have a look at like my next question, which is about present. So what are the biggest challenges facing your e-commerce channels right now? You have alluded to it, but like, if we get specific, like what are the biggest challenges and what strategies are you finding the most successful? And perhaps you've already talked about that in terms of influencers. So maybe this might be like a recap question. So what are the biggest challenges facing your e-commerce challenges right now? And what strategies are you finding the most successful? So as I say, it could just be a summary answer here.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we do find from an e-commerce strategy is competition. I think pricing, in the market is really difficult. As a company, we supply not just to e-commerce, but to retail as well, supermarkets. So in terms of the channels that we supply to, huge, I would say 90% of every company that's in this industry has one of our products or something like that. And then I think because of COVID and because of the way that people shop now, everything is online. And what we're finding is a lot of those bricks and mortar retailers are now having to be competitive, having to change their get and having to use e-commerce as a strategy to sell product. Because I think even me as a consumer, I'm really lazy. There's nothing worse than getting up in the morning, having to brush my hair, put my makeup on, just to go to the shop to get a bottle of milk or something like that. Or, anything, something that I need or want, generally 99% of the time is bought online and have it delivered. So by doing that and working with these retailers who have now strategized in this way, makes it more difficult from an e-commerce point of view, because then the people who would just sell in a shop to people now selling online makes it difficult for us from a competition point of view, where, we'd have a sale with a particular marketplace, say Amazon, for instance, which, with Prime Day and Black Friday and really deep, heavy discount promotional periods. And then we've got, I'm not going to mention any names because it might annoy somebody, but other Joe blogs that we work with that are now selling a product online that absolutely catastrophically annihilates our promotional plan that we've got with Amazon. So, and because sometimes we can't predict what retailers go to do, then you have to go back to the drawing board, you have to start again. And then, we come up with a brand new promotional plan to try and execute successfully. And it, don't get me wrong, it does work, but there's always somebody that throws a spanner in the work that, that really pushes out the boundaries of e-commerce and how successful it can be. Just something so simple. But then, it's working in this industry. It's got its ups and downs, and I think it's just how you manage them effectively, really. I think if everything was smooth, then we wouldn't be sitting here having this discussion about how successful e-commerce is. So, but yeah, I think from a successful point of view, I think for us as a brand, utilising marketplaces, utilising the brand exposure from marketing strategies. So some of the marketplaces, for instance, we do a lot of social media competitions. So they would advertise our brands, give away, a coffee machine. And what they would do for the successful winner, they would also supply, say, £50 worth of vouchers to use on that marketplace as well. So that's really engaging with the consumer and different consumers as well. And then the likes of influencers, promoting the products. And what we do find from an influencer perspective is if one particular influencer shows off a milk frother, which is one of our smaller, lower price point products, next minute the sales go absolutely through the roof. And simple things like that just show that how much power influencers have.
It makes me want to be an influencer.
And I don't think I'd have the capacity to sit there and post so many videos, every single day. I feel like I just want peace and quiet and a glass of wine. So yeah, there's so many successful ways that Swan have promoted the brand by using all these different places. But I really do think now that social media is a really important part of any brand that wants to gain additional exposure. Email marketing. the likes with Amazon with, with all the advertising from that side as well. So, you've got to be on the ball and deal with the here and now and potentially what's going to happen in the future as well.
Yeah. So that leads me nicely onto the question about the future. So what are your predictions for the next 12 to 18 months? I mean, where on earth can we go? More marketplaces, more influencers, videos? What is it going to be?
I don't think with any more change.
I know, yeah.
Honestly, I don't have a clue. If we go back to 3 years ago prior to COVID, who thought we'd be in this position now? So unpredictable. I think what the past 12 months really for us has shown that different e-commerce platforms are coming into the mix. I think because of the problems with the retail industry and bricks and mortar, people now are like Debenhams, for instance, as a marketplace. They are no longer retail, apart from the beauty side, but they're everything online now, and it just proves how successful it can be. But I think it all depends on what works, what doesn't work, and I think a lot of these companies are testing something. But I think from our perspective, when we've worked with different marketplaces, not all of them are beneficial to us. And you have to take a proactive and from a business decision as well. Is this profitable for us? Are we putting this hard work, and are we getting any return on investment? So I think for me, what worries me is there's going to be more marketplaces because I can't go with the amount that we've got at the moment. But if it does, how is that going to ultimately affect the market? I think from an Amazon perspective now, like I kind of touched on earlier, Amazon have got to be a little bit more prepared or strategize in a way to account for all these new marketplaces coming into the e-commerce world, to keep them market leaders. I think there's so much competition from an e-commerce point of view that if Amazon don't, but I do feel, to be fair, that Amazon, like they are from an internal perspective, they are changing the way that they work, with the fulfillment centers, closing down and making more central, fulfillment centers and things like that. So I think they do recognize, well, if they don't, then I'm sure they do with the way that Amazon kind of takes over the world anyway. But I think they're already aware that they've got to do something to make sure that they maintain the market leader.
Yeah. So in the US, they do a lot more creative. They have a lot more creative tactics to support Amazons, which I think will come over to the UK.
That's so.
So even just as simple as the Instagram style post that they have on Amazon, so that just looks really creative and it's like Instagram in style, and then that's going to change to video as well. So that'll be a lot more bring about brand engagement on the platform. So, but it seems to be slow. It's in the US. It's been in the US for over a year now. Why has it not come over to the UK? It just seems a bit far behind, in my opinion. But
out of curiosity on that, because I know Amazon Germany is quite a big market as well. Is there any kind of that process over there?
It's just in the US at the moment.
Wow.
As far as I know, I'm heavily embedded in the US. But so it's just, I think it is absolutely watch this space, but I'm hoping it comes over to the UK. Like you're saying, the wealth of marketplaces now, Amazon does need to remain competitive and have that nice environment that shoppers are, they want to engage with creative, they want to engage with videos, and Amazon needs to constantly, they can't rest on their laurels, can they?
No, not at all, no. And I think they will they'll do something, surprise us all again as they usually do.
Yeah, everything will change. Everything will change.